this small number of 313, who also included among them some lame people, some old people, some young boys who had not yet reached maturity. And the promise is so positive, so clear. This time let them come. This time if they wage a war, we have permitted you. And we are capable of defeating them. So God is with you, don't care. And then the principle of jihad is mentioned. If these ulama who cry out jihad, jihad for political ends, if they read this verse, it's impossible for them to misrepresent Islam anymore. The Holy Quran says, وَلَوْلَا دَفُّ اللَّهِ النَّاسَ بَعْضَهُمْ بِبَعْضٍ لَخُدِّمَتْ صَوَامِعُ وَبِيَعٌ وَصَلَوَاتٌ وَمَسَاجِدُ يُذْكَرُ فِيهَا اسْمُ اللَّهِ كَثِيرًا. If God had not permitted some to defend themselves against some others, then what would happen? لَهُدِّمَتْ صَوَامِعُ. The churches and Christian places of worship will be destroyed. The places of worship of the hermits and the recluse would also be demolished and destroyed. Places of worship of the Jews will be destroyed. And then also the mosques will be destroyed where God is remembered so often. Now, have you understood the message and the magnanimity of this message? According to this, jihad is to protect the right of worship. Basically, if anyone interferes with the right of worship of even a Christian, any defender of that right, if killed, will be a martyr. Because it's the right of freedom of religion, right of freedom of worship. So instead of mentioning the mosques in the first place, the mosques are mentioned at the end of the list. It's a fantastic thing. The magnanimity of the Holy Quran finds no equal in the world of religious scriptures. So this is the basic philosophy of Islamic jihad. Everything which should have been told about jihad has been told. If any claim of jihad, any interpretation of jihad contradicts this basic teaching and this comprehensive teaching, how can we agree with that? So we fully support this view, we agree with that, and that is why it was Ahmadiyya Jamaat in the first place which declared the situation of Bosnia as jihad against the invaders. Because these things did apply there. Because the Bosnian Muslims were persecuted and vigorously attacked, and cruelties were committed against them of a nature which even were not committed against the Jews in Nazi Germany. Yet the world of Islam is lying inert, unconcerned. At best they have doled out some money, and that after the protests lodged by the Ahmadiyya community the world over. So the proponents of jihad are behaving like this when actually the time of jihad came. And we have been supporting their cause throughout. An Ahmadi, British Ahmadi was martyred there, and the press, national press also mentioned him. But we have been going against all odds to help them within the scope of the laws of the country where we live. But the point is, why didn't they see that if jihad was ever made compulsory in the modern times, this was the time? They called jihad, you know what? They called jihad to fight against Iraq. They called it jihad. In the name of jihad, they collected the support of 10 Muslim countries. Because a Muslim country had invaded a part of the territory of another Muslim country which they claimed originally belonged to them, which they claimed that the British had carved out of their land and given over to somebody else. They say this is the fit case for jihad. And in this jihad, all the great world powers joined hands who are not Muslims. Have you forgotten the news of those days? When jihad was proclaimed at the loudest of their voices by Saudians and others who joined them? Even Pakistan sent a contingent of her army to fight shoulder by shoulder with Jews and Christians and Americans and Europeans and whatnot. There is no harm in fighting shoulder to shoulder with others. But for a genuine political cause, for a religious cause, which you declare to be jihad, a holy war, it is not permitted to seek the help of the non-believers. Where did they draw their authority from? When they appealed to America, to Europe to come and join, if it was jihad, then it was not jihad. 100% I am certain it was not jihad at all. If ever it was jihad, then how on earth could they seek the help of America, Europe, and other states of the world? Because according to the example of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, relating to the same battle of Badr, which I have spoken of, it is not permissible, it is not permitted to permit a non-believer to join you in jihad. While the Muslims were so small in number, apparently and actually were defenseless, unless it was the aid from Allah, help from Allah, they couldn't have won the battle. But at that time, some companions of the Holy Prophet jubilantly reported to Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that we have got to our side an Arab idolater who was known for his valor and his great art of fighting, who had become a legendary figure in his lifetime. He had come and offered his services to fight with the Muslims against the invaders from Mecca. When Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam heard this, while he was in such a dire need of help, he refused to permit him to fight with the Muslims. And he said, holy war, that is jihad, is for the sake of Allah. And Allah is sufficient for us. We will not defile the name of the holy war by permitting a non-believer to come and join the battle with us. Now, that is one most wonderful example. But when that man declared himself to be a Muslim, he didn't question. Because he never claimed to be all-knowing. He never claimed to be able to sing to hearts and find out the truth from there. He accepted the word of anyone, and this was again a declaration of the human dignity. Every man is free to call himself whatever he is. None other has a right to reject that claim. So he said, I am become a Muslim. He said, all right, you are a Muslim then. And he permitted him to fight. So tell us, how many European or Western countries were converted to Islam by Saudians before they permitted them to join the battle with them? None. They are politicians. They're only talking of jihad. From their mouth, they neither understand the meaning of jihad nor they ever practice it when the time comes. Bosnia is a glaring example of that. Only conclusion you can draw from this comparison is that they think if a non-Muslim attacks a Muslim just for the sake of religion, that may not be jihad. But if a Muslim country attacks a Muslim country for genuine political reasons, or others, or even not genuine political leaders, reasons, that would be a jihad. And practically this exactly is the jihad in operation everywhere in the Muslim world. When they raise swords in Algeria against the Algerian government, that is a jihad. When they raise sword in Egypt against the established Muslim government of Egypt, that is a jihad according to them. When Afghans fight Afghans, locked in an atrocious battle, that is called jihad from either side, from both sides. When Iraq fights Iran, they are both fighting a jihad. So jihad in reality is a fight between Muslims and no more. So is this the jihad they are calling us towards? Unthinkable for an Ahmadi to violate the principles of the Holy Quran just to please the majority, while they have no fear of defiling the message of Islam. So this is the story of jihad and we. Thank you.